That's a great question. I don't want to presume to know exactly what we ought to do, but we need to establish a penalty for protests, especially those protests that are deemed either inappropriate or have no value. And of course, in some of the protest cases, we'll have people will file 20 or 30 elements, and in some of the cases we're dealing with now, one of 20 or 30 is only appropriate. And so when we have that kind of thing, it just drags on the capability of a program office to answer that many different issues, most of which are frivolous. Then you get down to the one out of 20 or 30 that has any substance to it at all. So in cases like that, I believe there should be a cost attributed to that. I mean, when I repair airplanes down at Warner Robins, I charge a customer. And if I'm going to do that kind of work and it has no payback, I ought to be able to charge the customer, in other words, the person that's protesting.
How soon did you get a reform like that into place?
Well, I don't know. It would take some doing. I think we're beginning to build up a consensus for that on the Hill. Yeah, because it causes such disruption in the budgeting process when you budget, you program and then budget $600–700 million for a program, and then you can't spend it simply because you're on hold. So it's very, very disruptive.
You mentioned that on CSAR-X, the protest cost the taxpayers about $800 million.
That's correct.
What are all of the elements of that cost? Where does that stem from?
It's development and production. There's not very much development in the CSAR-X because it is an off-the-shelf capability. So in essence, what we'll have to do now is reprogram money in the out years to buy those airplanes that we should have bought up front.
What do you mean? Are you saying because you're pushing off the costs into the out years, the cost of inflation, things are more expensive?
No. In other words, I programmed that money, and it was budgeted, but I can't spend it. So where does it go? It goes off to do things like fund the war, or pay other expenses, buy gas. I don't know where it goes, but I lose it. So I've already paid that bill once. I've already paid that $800 million. I just didn't get a chance. I didn't get to spend it. Somebody else did. Now I've got to go back, take money from something else inside the Air Force to find that $800 million to buy those airplanes I should have bought last year.
And is industry supportive of a move to put a penalty on protests?
I believe that you will find they are. I've had conversations with several of the CEOs. In fact, Ms. Payton and I have a round table with them a couple of times a year, and we have found unanimous support for some sort of accountability in the protest process. So I think there'd be a lot of debate about, is it $1 million, is it $10 million, or $100 million? But I think we'd find support for some sort of cost of doing business in the protest area.